Hey viewers, my name's Cara. We're in my backyard. I just finished recording my Pagan Perspective video for the day. I've decided that this week, maybe for the rest of the month, it makes more sense to consolidate my video content creation into Tuesdays, because that's the day that I am already making my videos for the Pagan Perspective. So I just decided to also record my videos for my channel on the same day. And so I'm only working on my own content one day out of the week instead of multiple days of the week, spreading it out. Usually I would be doing these videos over the weekend and then my Pagan Perspective video on Tuesdays. But with the Black Lives Matter movement being foremost on many of our minds, and definitely on mine and in my household, and awesomely in a lot of people's minds that I follow online, I have been spending most of my weeks educating myself, listening to what Black people have to say about what's going on, sharing resources that I'm finding online that are shared by various organizations and individuals, authors, things like that. And I really do feel like it is important at this time that as a white person, I cut back on my own content. So I'm doing a lot less of that. For example, on Instagram, the only things I've been posting have been about this issue. My tripod's getting blown over by the wind right now. The only things I've been posting there have been about what's going on. And other than that, I'm just sharing other people's words and stories because I really think that is important. However, since this is also the way that I pay my bills, I know that I have to continue posting something because that's how my Patreon works. I get support when I create content. So it feels really like I want to just not say or do anything much right now, but at the same time, it's important that I do use my voice and my platform to amplify these issues and this information. So this is kind of how I'm compromising on that. I'm deciding to consolidate it all into one day. This week's topic on Pagan Perspective, which I just finished recording my video for, we're actually talking about what our ideal IRL, in real life, in person, pagan and witchy communities would look like. And of course, at the forefront of my mind right now is that my ideal communities would be inclusive of all races, all ages, all gender expressions, all sexualities, all backgrounds, all life experiences, class, all those types of things. So I felt like this week's topic really goes along with all of this really well. So you can go to Pagan Perspective and watch the video that I did today. I will probably be uploading that before this one because it is the Tuesday Pagan Perspective video, so I want to make sure that one's up and done before I even get this one up there. But yeah, so in this video, usually I only talk about books when I have finished reading them, and that's why last year I was talking a lot about books because I was just going through books, right? But this year, I haven't finished a book since like February when I finished the Empowerment Manual, which by the way does talk about, like, it's a guide for a collaborative group process, and it comes out of the reclaiming tradition. It's by Starhawk, but it's not specifically reclaiming. It comes out of like anarchist tradition and operating in like small groups and cells and operating cooperatively and having multiple leaders so that not just one person has all the answers or has all the power and authority in a situation, right? But really sharing that power, sharing that authority. So the Empowerment Manual, a guide for collaborative groups, might be something that you want to read also, just if that's something in particular that you're interested in. It's definitely been something that's come up a little bit recently, but yeah, so I haven't finished a book since February when I finished that, because I started reading a lot of other books, some pretty big books, in book clubs with other witches. So I've been reading Triumph of the Moon by Ronald Hutton with Thorn Mooney's book club, but really what's happened is I started a little bit behind and then I've only gotten like more behind because during quarantine, my focus for reading like went out the window. I don't know what happened to it, but I've had so much trouble focusing on reading since March. So I'm reading it on my own, but I'm not really like discussing with people in the book club at this point, and I feel kind of bad about that, but at the same time it's very much set up that like everybody's just reading at their own pace anyway, so I'm trying not to feel bad about it. But I thought I would be more involved, because usually I would be. And it's the same thing with the Drawing Down the Moon by Margot Adler book club that myself and Laura at Aquamarine 18 were sort of kind of unofficially co-leading. Like, a few of us decided we wanted to read that book together, so as either Laura or I read the chapter first, we would like pop in some discussion questions, and that is actually through Katie Flowers' Patreon community. It's not actually through mine, because we were just talking about it in Katie's group, and a few of us decided we wanted to read it. So we said, hey Katie, can you make a channel for us to talk about that? And so it's there, it's in Katie's. But I've kind of been co-leading that, and that one has been very, very slow moving, like not any kind of official page or chapter count per month at all. It's just like, as you read, let's talk about it here. But it's kind of gone on the back burner for now, because everybody's talking about and reading other things, and that's been true for me too. So there's been Triumph of the Moon and Drawing Down the Moon that I've been reading for quite a while. Also, like, literally 5 or 6 other books. There is a fairy tradition workbook that I am working through with some of my reclaiming community leaders who are also fairy initiates. So I've been working through that on a weekly or bi-weekly basis as they put out the assignments. So that's really one of the things that I've been keeping up with on a regular basis. I'm also leading a book club where we are discussing The Spiral Dance. That I have been keeping up with. We are reading chapter 3 this month. It's a really slow read. We're only reading 1 or 2 chapters per month. So that's through my Patreon. That information will be below. But other than those couple of things that I'm really keeping up with for my personal work, monthly or weekly, or bi-weekly as the case may be, I have switched gears to reading some of the books that were already in my house by Black authors that are specifically talking about anti-racism and Black Lives Matter. I didn't bring both of them out here to show you. I only have the one that I've been sitting out here reading today with me. So I've been reading When They Call You a Terrorist, a Black Lives Matter memoir by Patrice Khan-Cullors and Asha Bandele. I'm not sure how to say Asha's last name. The foreword is by Angela Davis. And I'm on like chapter 3, I think. And so I started this yesterday. It's really a fast read though, because it is a memoir. It's mostly like personal storytelling interspersed with, you know, facts about what's actually been going on in the United States and in Patrice's life. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm not that far into it yet. As I said, I usually don't talk about a book on my channel until I've finished reading it, but these are things that I'm currently reading because they are recommended reading for helping to educate ourselves about anti-racism and about the Black Lives Matter movement and what's going on. So I am enjoying this one so far. I'm also on chapter 2 right now of How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi, which is another one that you'll see recommended on a lot of the lists. These just happen to be the 2 that are already in my house because we have them checked out from the library. We had them checked out before quarantine, and then when the public library system shut down, they just kind of said, okay, nobody needs to return any books, there will be no late fees, there's no, like, due dates were suspended basically, so we still have those books. We also had Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow, Colorblindness in the Age of Mass Incarceration. My partner had already read it and returned it to the library. I was going to read it, but I didn't get a chance to read it yet because I've been reading a billion other things, and I was like, oh, I'll get to it. But yeah, so we returned it, so we don't have that one anymore. But I do plan on reading that one as well. Another one that has been highly recommended that I know a few of my friends are reading right now is White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. So that's something that's on my list that I want to read. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. But, seagulls! Hi, seagulls! Anyway, yeah, so once I've finished these, and I want to finish a couple of the other books that I've really just been not able to focus on in the past few months, those are some of the other books that are on my list to read next. white fragility, the new Jim Crow, but there are tons and tons of others. There are also a lot of things that I've been sharing. If you follow me on my Instagram, by the way, every day I've been sharing, I couldn't even tell you how many things in my Instagram stories from organizations and individuals who I follow that have more information about all of this stuff, about what's going on, how many people are being killed every day, which is just it's literally every day. But it's also kind of absurd that it's been the case for years and so many of us just didn't have to think about it, and that's a privilege because it wasn't happening to us. So yeah, a lot of stuff that I've been sharing. Also a lot of Pride related stuff because it's Pride Month as well. There's been some shitty stuff going on as far as the government trying to remove rights from the LGBT community. As usual, you know, this administration has been doing that since the beginning, and it's still happening, and it's just like, really, during Pride Month? Oh, okay, cool. It sucks, but am I surprised? No, unfortunately, I'm not. Anyway, so talking about these types of things, also talking about the intersections of the queer and trans community with the Black community. You know, Black, queer, and trans people experience things to an even larger degree than non-Black, queer, and trans people. And so talking about that type of thing, whenever I see information about that, I've been making sure to share that because that is an intersection between two major things that are going on right now, the Black Lives Matter movement and Pride Month being in June. Yeah, it's also still a pandemic, so that is layered on top of things. That is changing a lot of people's considerations and what we are able to do in this time. And so I've been doing everything that I can from home, as I always do, you know. Both of our household vehicles are broken down right now. We haven't had a chance to go out and get them fixed yet. So in the meantime, I'm doing what I can from home, sharing as much resources as I can. I've been compiling some of them in a post on my blog so that the link in my Instagram bio actually goes directly to my links page on my blog, and the first one there now is to this post where I've been compiling anti-racism resources. And you know, it's everything from podcasts to listen to books to read, articles to read. Articles are really easy to read from home, so I've been reading a lot of articles. What else? Things that you can watch on Netflix, if you have Netflix or Hulu or any other types of things. There's lists of documentaries and shows that are about these things, but also just that feature Black actors and directors, and, you know, so supporting the creative work of Black people in this time as well, because that might not be something that everyone does all the time, you know. So if you're looking for lots of resources like that, I've been sharing a lot on my Instagram story and also in my blog. I'll put a link to the post, and I've been adding some things that people are sending to me as well. Like there's a huge list of books that someone sent to me that I have now added to that list, and there's a ton of titles on there. So, you know, I can spend probably the entire next 2 or 3 years reading books on that list if they're available through my public library system, and that's free education for me. You know, it's just time. It's offering up my time and energy to devote to learning about these issues and making sure that I'm not just ignoring them because I don't have to think about them because they don't apply to my skin color, you know? Like, it does apply to me because I care about people. And I'm not willing to ignore that. There's tons of other stuff that we can look at, that we can listen to, people telling their stories and things like that without having to watch the videos of violence, you know? So it's not all just that, you know? There's so much more we can be doing. If you're a reader, there are tons of things to read. If you like to watch movies, there are tons of things to watch. If you like listening to podcasts and audiobooks, there are audiobooks, there are podcasts. There's just so much more we can be doing. And I know that some people have felt like variously, like they feel like they're doing enough and other people are telling them that they're not doing enough, and they're offended because how dare somebody say I'm not doing enough when I'm doing everything that I can. And there's also people who are beating themselves up because they feel like I'm not doing enough, I should be doing more, right? So I will tell you what I told my partner on that front, which is that I don't mean this in a bad way or really in a good way. I just mean this as a fact that we can all acknowledge. As long as this is a continuing issue on every level, from the individual to the systemic and structural to the institutional level, as long as this is still an issue anywhere, none of us are doing enough. And I don't mean that in a bad way, like you are not doing enough and you need to do more. I think we all know what we are capable of in this present moment, and we can all judge for ourselves whether we are really doing as much as we can. And I feel like, you know, for me, it's very doable to watch a documentary on Netflix instead of watching whatever else we were going to watch, or watching a movie off of these recommended lists instead of whatever else we were going to watch. Or it's very doable for me to switch gears to reading some of these books instead of the other reading that I was already struggling to do anyway. And I'm able to focus on them. It's engaging. And so instead of struggling through these other books because I can't focus and saying, oh, I'll get to these books after I finish all these other ones that I'm struggling to get through, you know what? No, I'm going to switch gears and read this. And now it's actually going a lot easier, reading-wise, you know? So I don't mean it in a bad way or in a judgmental way or in an accusatory way when I say, I just think that it is a fact that as long as these things are still happening, no one is doing enough. Because if enough was being done at a large scale, then it wouldn't be a problem anymore, you know what I mean? So that's what I told my partner, because my partner is definitely in the camp of beating themselves up because they want to be doing more. And we have had a lot of conversations ourselves and sat down and talked about we talk about these things all the time anyway. Literally, like, I've learned so much from my partner because my partner used to work in nonprofit activism and environmental activism. They used to go door to door canvassing. Like, this is what they did. So they feel really like they want to be doing more. I already feel like I learned so much just from talking to people who have these experiences and have this knowledge. And my phone is dying, it's telling me. So anyway, I just wanted to say that doesn't need to be something we beat ourselves up over, but it also doesn't mean we get to feel complacent. We all get to judge for ourselves what we are personally capable of doing. And I know some people have mentioned to me that I mentioned what I'm doing despite having anxiety about certain things. So I've been saying, like, talking on the phone with strangers gives me anxiety, so I can't necessarily comfortably call representatives and talk about these issues, but I can email, I can write a letter, I can send a text. That might not be the exact example for you, but that type of thing. We each can spend some time just sitting with it with ourselves and figure out, what can I do? What do I feel that I can do that is one step more than what I'm already doing? And just do that one step more. Sign petitions online. That's something that I can do very easily. Once you're signed up on change.org, you can sign with one click. Super easy for me. So that's something that doesn't trigger my anxiety. Everybody's anxiety is different, so I can't tell you, but that's how I've been approaching it. I can't call people on the phone comfortably without triggering my anxiety, but there are all these other things that I can do to educate myself, to share resources with others, and to create change by signing petitions, sending text messages, sending emails to my local representatives, a lot of which is things that people online already have them ready for you. You just have to copy and paste it. So if you're worried about not knowing what to say, other people have written scripts. You can just send it off, you know? It's just about putting our name behind what other people are already doing. It's about saying, I stand behind these Black communities and these organizers and these people who are already doing this work, and we're just lending our voice and standing with them. That's what it is. So yeah, my phone's dying. It's about to shut off on me. Thank you very much for watching and or listening to this video, and I'll see you next week. I hope you're all having an okay day, and Black Lives Matter. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye for now.